This is a run through of my Enduristan motorbike toolkit. So it's in the Enduristan tool roll. It's a pretty handy thing, decently sort of compact. Unfolded is pretty big. Lots of space for laying parts and tools on, and we'll go through what we've got. So here we have Allen keys, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2mm. Oh, there's a tiny one as well, probably 2.5 and a 2. The other ones with ball ends, so you can get in at funny angles. So they cover quite a lot of things there. Here we have this is something I made up out of, I brazed together 2 socket extensions to make a T-bar, and then the socket lives on. Doing this one-handed while I hold the phone. Ooh, can't do it. Anyway, 14mm socket, and then in here we've got various sizes, 14 down to 6mm. 6mm does your cable ties and things. 14 does sump plug, and yeah, everything in between. Got a little tyre pressure pen. It's just a cheap plasticky one, but does the job. Reads fairly low, down to 10 psi, so kind of all I need. Sharpie, never know when you're going to need a Sharpie. And then in the pocket in the back here we have cable ties. Just cable ties, and then this packet. And in this packet we have electrical wire, steel wire, a few nuts and bolts, a couple of 10 amp fuses. My bike only has one fuse, but I carry a couple of spares. Spare bolts. The bolts have all got different nuts and washers on, so if you need a shorter one you can wind the nut part way down the bolt, so you just have a shorter threaded section. What else have we got? What's that black thing? Oh, that's a little fuel hose connector. So if you get a hole in a hose, you can just join 2 ends with that. Length of paracord. There's the little cable ends there for the Slinky Guide cable repair kit. That's been really handy. Jubilee clip for coolant hoses, and some little tiny cable ties. So quite a bit of stuff in there. That tucks in behind them. And then here we have a little plastic wire brush, a stainless steel one. We have a 13mm spanner cut off, which does, because my bike's Japanese, most of the bolts are 12mm. There aren't actually any 13mm as standard, but there's a few bits I've changed that have then got 13mm on. So I think that does rim locks and one of the chain roller guides, which you have to take off to get the subframe off. And I cut the end off, but he fits in the spark plug tool, so you can make a decent limp spanner like that. Little half a tube of silicone instant gasket, just for fixing leaks and stuff. Spare chain link, DID O-ring chain link. Lighter. This is some that liquid metal epoxy stuff. You can just knead together, fix holes in crankcases and things like that. Double-ended screwdriver. So we've got Phillips on that end, and then a flat screwdriver on that end. So obviously undoing screws, and also a little bit of prying action. Put together there. Another little Jubilee clip hose clamp. I've got the tubeless repair tools for the plugs. So we've got the raspy one there, and then this is the one that you clip the little smudgy worm thing into. Put them in the hole. I don't run tubeless, but if people do, I've got the tools there to help them. A tiny little Stanley knife, just for cutting hoses and things. This is a tyre valve puller. So when you're putting the tube back into the rim, you thread this through the hole in the rim and out and connect it to the valve stem, and then you pull on it and it guides the valve stem down round and then through the hole in the rim, which is one of the trickiest bits to do when you're refitting a tyre without tools, and that really saves a lot of time, a lot of sore knuckles and a lot of hard work. Spare brake lever. This is a spanner for the rear axle nut, so it's 27mm. It's just a silver lined spanner, and then I've ground the end to make it into a tyre lever. So I sort of copied the profile of a few tyre levers that I liked. So we've got very slim and thin end, and there's a little notch in the back here that just sits over the rim as you're prying. So that works pretty well. And I've got another one of them, 22mm, which is the front axle nut, and did the same thing on him. This one is ever so slightly smaller and thinner, and actually works even better. So they're pretty good. Spark plug tool. Spark plug on my bike's really hard to get at, so this is a 14 and 16mm tool, but I cut the 16mm end off and it only just clears the frame to get into the spark plug. So it's pretty important that I have this with me, because it's not the kind of thing I could borrow someone else's tool to do the job. Don't often have to change a spark plug, but I've also wrapped some insulating tape around there, so I can peel a bit of that off if I need to insulate anything. Pretty simple. Nipex pliers, I think these are Cobras, really tough. Yeah, just any size, and yeah, they grip really well. You can almost stand on them to undo things. They're a really strong little tool. Really like them. I carry so this is a 13 tooth front sprocket, and I have a 15 tooth, and I carry one while I'm running the other one. So 15 tooth, good on the road. I can cruise along at 70-80 miles an hour. If I get somewhere I'm doing, more than half a day of technical stuff, I'll put this on. Just makes it a bit easier in the harder terrain. Takes about 20 minutes to change between the two, so it's not too bad a job. A couple of spanners. This is a 8-10mm spanner. I have a KTM toolkit. And then, as I was saying earlier, because the bike's Japanese, it's mostly 12 and 14 for everything else. I couldn't buy a 12 and 14 spanner, so I bought a cheap set of spanners and cut them in half and brazed a 12mm end onto a 14mm end to make that, and it does the job. And then in the end pouch here we have plastic gloves, always handy, keep your hands clean. A little bar of soap. It's getting quite diminished now, but just for, washing hands and getting tyres on rims. It's just, basic soap. Got loads of uses. Rubber cement for patches. Another little bag that's got O-rings, electrical connectors, the little solder seal, electrical connectors. So this is a jet lighter, and it's hot enough to get these connectors to do their thing. Various size O-rings, so should be some to fit carbs and whatever else. And then I need to replace these, but these are just the tubeless tyre worms, down to my last one. All from fixing other people's punctures rather than mine, but pretty handy and easy to carry if it gets someone else out of a muddle. Another patch. And that's it. That is a comprehensive look through my toolkit.